Today we want to discuss a little bit the topic about one area of software as a service solutions, cloud solutions, especially focusing on synchronizing and sharing information with externals, with your peers. From a risk management point of view and discuss the possibilities, especially we provide with our offering to reduce that risks, and not even only reduce that risk, but also generate improvements in all terms, not only in terms of security, in terms of compliance, but also in terms of creating even new business models when using tools like enterprise file sync and share in a very focused and managed way. So what is synchronizing and sharing? You all know that from your personal usage. So you use tools like Dropbox, like Google Drive and so on. Mainly, I think, for your family photos, for example. It even gets to be a problem if you maybe try to store your personal information, for example, about your insurance policies somewhere. Insurance policies typically contain all the data about your wealth, about your health, what properties you possess that are insured. And of course, then many of us ask us the question, is this really secure? What happens with the data? Who has access to the data? So it's often the point, especially for companies, that they have, of course, the same thinking and the same risk evaluation when using the tools. The problem gets even worse that, of course, especially younger people, digital natives, are used to work with cloud services, with tools they use in their private environment. And if a company doesn't manage this usage, then they will get even more problems because they completely lose the control of the data. Because if an employee, for example, in sales has to transmit a large offer for a bid to a prospect, and he has no official managed solution for that, and he uses Dropbox or something, then you really get into problems, especially if you think of a scenario when that guy, that sales guy, then leaves the company and takes all the information, all the company owned information with him. So this is the environment I want to talk with you. And I will just show you some solutions that we provide. Just to make the ground for the further reasoning of all the arguments I will bring, I will just explain you the area where we operate, just to get an imagination of the environments we are working. So one great field is manufacturing, so construction of buildings, of plants all over the world where a lot of information has to be transferred. And of course, for companies, this information is very essential. This is the core asset of the company, so it's an enormous wealth and value assigned with that. So in that scenario, of course, you really cannot use tools where you do not have the control and the assurance that security topics are handled carefully. And the other thing is that when we come back to the example with Google Drive or OneDrive or whatever, these tools normally do not offer a structured way for that sharing of information. So normally you have a drive and you put documents there, and then of course all the peers that have access to that drive will get a notification maybe, and then have access to the documents. But for organizations I'm talking about, it's very essential that this is not only a pure collaborative approach where you have documents and access them, but you really want to be able to model the business processes. That means the way the recipients of the information will work with the information, will maybe approve that information, take knowledge of the information, so that this information is then also stored together with the document for traceability, for compliance reasons. So manufacturing is one great area where these tools apply, and also healthcare, pharmaceuticals. You may consider a scenario where a pharma company will test a new medicine, for example. They will do it all over the world with clinics, with laboratories. This is very confidential data that is also enormous value behind it if you consider the cost of getting a new medicament approved, legally approved. And here in that process, it's also the law that all the access information and the approval information of any item, any piece of information is stored in a revision-safe manner. Yeah, and these are two typical scenarios where we offer our platform, our cloud platform called the Fabasoft Cloud. So basically our mission is just to digitalize the document and records management and be able to offer our customers innovative services to provide even not only the assurance that their risk is managed and their security aspects are fulfilled, but even to allow them to develop new business models out of the tools they use when they come to use our software. So the main use cases, we have already discussed some of them, is of course document-centric collaboration, enterprise file sync and share, in other words, combined with a very strong possibility to model workflows, to model business processes, so that the collaboration is not an unstructured way to collaborate, but a very formal and structured way if you need that. So typical scenarios are, of course, extranet. So you often hear about bimodal IT. So you have on the one hand your internal systems that are legacy systems but well established, and you cannot change them in a short time frame. But you have to fulfill your digitalization requirements, your collaborations requirements, and therefore our platform is ideal to integrate into existing intranet applications like SAP, for example, or other large document management systems, and provide the prolongation of processes of workflows to the external peers, to your business partners and customers and suppliers, for example. So business process is a very strong feature in our cloud offering. So you don't have only the possibilities to share documents, but you can really model your business processes in graphical tools. So adapt the solution to your very specific use in a graphical way. And these business processes don't require any programming, but they are immediately able to be executed after they have been released, so that a company is really agile in providing solutions for the topic. And of course, since we are in a mobile world, mobile secure access is a very important part in that area as well. We mentioned the construction example, and of course nowadays often people on sites, on construction sites, work with large plans, with whole piles of documents, and nowadays we have the technical tools, the devices that allow us, even in high resolution and large form factors, to provide digital information in the same quality as the physical way. And even more, you have, of course, access to much more information on a physical device than on a single piece of paper, with search capabilities, with retrieval capabilities, with interactions, even video interaction that help you to understand what is in the document for a certain use case, like doing a service on a machine or setting up something on the construction site. So the values we provide to address the concerns companies have concerning their security requirements, their compliance requirements, and also in terms of the risk calculation of using cloud services is listed on this slide. So we, of course, have to provide the necessary trust for such an enterprise organization. And we really talk about large organizations like Siemens, for example, in manufacturing. The compliance thing is for these organizations very, very important. So they have to have the full traceability, not only on the data itself, but also on the organizational processes and on the technical infrastructure if they use a cloud service or a software as a service solution. And therefore, there come certifications into place where we really focus on high-level certifications. And as you have heard, we really do here the best work in the world, since we are also the first and so far the only one who could achieve the 5-star in the star audit, which means that we can address all the different aspects, not only from a technical point of view, but from the whole area of using a cloud service, from the legal aspects, from the aspects how can I get my data back in case I will terminate the contract with the cloud contractor. So all these topics are addressed in the star audit, and Fabasoft is proud to provide here an answer for each individual question at the highest possible value. Of course, there are some other values that are really very important. So supporting our customers is also something that we really have driven to perfection. I will show you some examples later on. But now I will switch over to what is the Fabasoft Cloud as a platform. So you see here a picture. It's maybe a little bit small for that rather weak beamer here, but in the core is the platform we call the Fabasoft Cloud. And as you see here, it's there are several possibilities how you can deploy the Fabasoft Cloud. So on the one hand, it's a public cloud where you just can subscribe a tenant in the infrastructure. But we have also the possibility to extend that public cloud to data centers of customers, what we call the private cloud option of the delivery, so that the customer will get the same functionality, the same security features as in the public cloud, but in a private cloud installation. I will explain that a little bit later. This is the core of the platform. Then, of course, only providing the solution is not sufficient. So what you see here on the low end is the technology we call Secomo. Secomo is a high-end encryption engine that uses end-to-end encryption for the customer documents, where the keys are stored in a hardware security module, so in a physically store for the private keys for encryption, which this architecture guarantees that the cloud provider will never ever have access to unencrypted information at all. So the keys remain in the domain of the customer, and therefore all the information, all the documents are end-to-end encrypted in that architecture. So when we talk about enterprise document management, and especially in that industries I have introduced, then there are not hundreds or 100,000 documents, but often there are millions and even billions of documents involved in such installations. And of course, you can imagine that it's not easy to structure all these enormous amount of documents in a way that everybody in your organization, for example, within Siemens, where several hundred people work together in that area, to access that via a structured or classification way. So what's a very, very strong component for that scale of usage is that you have the possibility to retrieve information out of the document itself. So we have a technology called MindBreeze that's on the left side from you that provides a semantic full text search engine that allows you to access information, of course, according to your access rights in huge amount of data. And the main advantage of that technology is that it doesn't only allow you to access data stored in one cloud, in our cloud, for example, but allows you to access the information in all the data repositories you have in your organization. So whether it's your email system, your SAP system, you get a holistic search out of all the relevant business data in your organization. On the right side, you see a technology called Fabasoft App Telemetry. Since we are talking about a cloud infrastructure that's scalable, that's elastic, we have developed an own technology to do the application performance management called Fabasoft App Telemetry that allows us to provide very hard service levels to our customers by the numbers of the availability, of course, but also especially by the number of the performance and the speed, how fast documents, for example, are delivered to the customer, or user interactions with the system can take place. And in this environment is provided by the Fabasoft Cloud. And then on top of that environment, we run several business applications. So if you look at the yellow one, that's the Fabasoft eGov suite. We are market leader in the public sector for electronic records management, document management for large public sector organizations like the Austrian central government. They run that installation in a sort of private cloud in the Bundesrechenzentrum and offer for each department of the central government the solution for electronic documents and records management with, I think, 12 or 13,000 employees in that area. Then we have already mentioned our solutions for manufacturing, for healthcare, and the third private industry we are focusing on is financial services. So, for example, banks, insurance companies. These are some vertical aspects, but we also run some horizontal aspects on top of that platform. For example, a personal file and records, personal file management for the personal data of large organizations. For example, Austrian Airlines is a customer of that, using it for all the pilots and all the people, the employees, or several thousand employees they have. And how can we create such a solution in a very agile way? So here we have also the tools. These are modeling tools, as I mentioned, with BPMN. So there are modeling languages, graphical modeling languages, or textual modeling languages that allow you, with a very low footprint, to create a vertical solution. This vertical solution can be created either by Fabasoft for the areas I mentioned here, but even by partners who create solutions, or even by customers who create the solution for themselves, just to address the use cases they need to do that sort of customizing the public cloud here for their very specific needs. Developing, modeling the solution is one thing. We are in a cloud environment. We talk about high quality, high performance. So the last tool set in that platform is what we call Fabasoft App Test. That's a user acceptance testing tool that allows you really to test from an end user perspective the use cases, the business processes that apply to or are the result of the solutions that run in that platform. So that gives us the possibility to, on the one hand, be very agile in providing new versions of our platform, because we have all the relevant use cases that the end user uses written in tests, so that we can, so we know in advance how users use our system, and in case of a release update, and we do a release update, for example, every month in an agile way, we know that it will not affect the customer use cases, or even if it affects, we can determine whether it will improve the customer use cases and can inform the customer in advance of changes that will apply. This is also something that we often get as feedback, that if you use a cloud service, then you actually cannot control when there will be a new version, what will be the implication for my employees. Do I have to train them? And with that tool set, we can provide the information already in advance to make sure that large organizations like governments will be well prepared if the solution changes. So a little bit more about the inner part of the slide, just to give you the complete picture here. So what we call the Fabasoft Cloud, I mentioned these are the way how the Fabasoft Cloud comes to our customers. So of course the public cloud, here we as Fabasoft operate data centers, high secure, mostly tier 4 data centers in Germany, Switzerland and Austria. So this is a classical software as a service offering in a public cloud, where you can immediately in a self-service way create your tenant. You pay what you use, of course, and have all the qualities of the certified operations of Fabasoft in the data centers. I mentioned the private cloud, and I mentioned that this is the possibility that a customer can use the same functionality, also the same billing models, the same scalability aspects from the public cloud, but certain industries, especially in the financial industries, they always have, or also in pharma, they have the requirement that the data must be in their data centers, and they have the data centers. Each bank, large bank, of course, has certified data centers, and they have the infrastructure, and therefore we provide the Fabasoft Cloud as an appliance solution, which means it's an optimized hard and software component that you only need to implement in the data center, configure it like you do it with a router or whatever, where you have the automatic updates and all this stuff completely full automated, and the distinction from the public cloud is that you have the data in your data center, because this is the requirement. And of course, there is also a hybrid scenario that we can also run a dedicated infrastructure in our data center of our cloud. So we call that a hybrid model. This is very important also if customers have very high security regulations. So one customer here, for example, is the Swiss Parliament, running about 1,000 users in that cloud, and they said just for their compliance requirements in the tender, we want a dedicated infrastructure. So this is quite easily to achieve for us, because we can just deploy our private cloud in our data center in a very short time. So this only takes a couple of days, and then the customer is up and running. So we have already talked a lot of the topics on my next slide, so I've only a couple of minutes left, so I will just skip over of that. Of course, trust is very important for the customers we We work for, so you see here the picture of our data center in Switzerland. There is even no physical address for that. You have only GPS coordinates to go there. And from that entrance, it's about 3 kilometers in the Swiss Alps, where the actual racks stand. Of course, I mentioned mobile access. It's very important that every involved party in such business process has all the information, all the processes on his mobile device. So whether he has to approve something or need some information to do his work, there's perfect support for mobile devices. We've mentioned the transparency necessities that our customers need. Here is also important, of course, it's not only technical issues, of course, this is something that we as software vendor always put in front, but for our customers it's also very important that they know who is the company. So we are not a very big company, we're about 200 employees, but we are listed on the Deutsche Börse in Frankfurt for the main reason, not for getting the money, but for the main reason to provide the transparency also in a financial aspect, to demonstrate in quarterly reports that we are a powerful partner for these organizations we work for. Yeah, know where your data is very important. So we only use our own infrastructure, so we do not use other third-party cloud infrastructure clouds, for example, since in our area this is the most important thing. Yeah, of course, you have to know with whom you are sharing your data with the traceability you need. We have all these compliance features built in that fulfill the criteria of the regulatories in special industries like pharma. Features like automatic watermarking you see here are implemented for security reasons. Of course, quality is very important. So we are a European software vendor. We only produce our software in Europe. No offshore or things like that. With our own value proposition, we focus on certification. So here we do not only have the STAR audit, but we have a full range of certifications focusing on security, focusing on processes. Focusing on solution aspects like the records management or long-term archiving certificates in that area. Agility, I already mentioned, is very important due to the approach of being able to model the solution that you need as a customer without the necessity to do programming or something like that. So you can really model and form the public cloud to the requirements that you need is the point here. Flexibility, for example, in terms of the deployment options with the private cloud is one important thing. Yes, we are also available in 22 languages, so this is also a topic, especially for large organizations working worldwide, that each user gets the language that he is used to for the user interface, which of course is also a trust-building aspect here. Yeah, and last but not least, or one of the last points is simplicity and also elegance. So we think that modern software, even if it's business software for large enterprises, must be designed. So we internally use a design-oriented software development approach, where first the designers and the user interface experts design the solution, then we create the tests. So we do the testing before we actually start programming on top of the design, and then we implement the solution and the further development of our product. Yeah, support I've also mentioned a little bit. Of course, when you talk about cloud, then it's also often a question of cost efficiency. But to be honest, this is not the most critical thing for us, since we are operating in industries where the benefit for the business is in the foreground, and we are not talking to IT people that have to cut down costs for some aspects, but we talk to the business people who have to create new business cases, who have to provide new solutions for their partners, and therefore be able to use our solution for fulfilling their requirements. Appliances I've already mentioned, so there is not only the private cloud appliance, but also for all the other components of the architecture I already introduced, including components. Yeah, I've already mentioned something about our company. Here are the facts. I hope I gave you a valuable piece of information about Fabasoft, about the general term of what we think that is important for vendors and cloud service providers, especially for software as a service providers, for being successful. We are quite successful with our story. Also, we are just a mid-sized company. And with that, I will say thank you. Thank you very much.